Hi everyone, this is the Ask Annie podcast, Horse Girl reviews on products you use. This episode is brought to you by Tribute Superior Equine Nutrition. It's only natural you want what's best for your horse. Wholesome blends from Tribute Superior Equine Nutrition combine specially selected whole seeds and vegetables with a premium level of balanced nutrition. Crafted using the safest manufacturing practices, Wholesome Blends feeds are 100% soy-free with no added iron. For a buy 3, get 1 free coupon, visit tributeequinenutrition.com.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Dr. Rambo, and your life prior to Tribute Equine Nutrition?
Sure. So I grew up a horse crazy little girl, much to the chagrin of my husband. I have not outgrown it. So I had horses growing up and in fact started riding at 12. My dad's sisters went together and bought a package of riding lessons. And then my parents could never stop paying for them. So I'm sure they didn't really appreciate that gift all that much. But grew up riding, really loved it, was also really involved in 4-H and FFA. And when it was time to go to college, I knew I didn't want to do any of the traditional horse jobs that I was aware of at the time. Trainer, farrier, vet. So I wound up majoring in animal science, just looking to kind of see what options were out there. And then worked for a ruminant nutritionist, so a beef cattle nutrition professor in undergrad. At the same time, I was taking my nutrition courses and found it was something that really made sense to me. So repro made zero sense to me. All those hormones, couldn't understand it at all. But nutrition made sense to me. And then I was kind of lucky enough to find this pathway where I took that topic that I found super interesting and pair it with my passion that was horses. So kind of growing up, I didn't even know this was a job that you could have. But I feel very lucky that my pathway found.
And you mentioned your educational background. Can you fill us in more on that and why you decided to go into nutrition?
Sure. So really the decision to focus on nutrition came from that experience I had as an undergraduate. I did an undergraduate research project. I worked in a lab. So I did that at Texas A&M where I got my undergraduate. And then from there, I did a master's at University of Kentucky and a PhD at University of Minnesota. So I was able to see lots of parts of the country, experience a lot of different universities, which I think was a positive in my education. It built my network as well as exposed me to different ways to do things. I think if you stay all in one place, you only get exposed to one thing. So I really appreciated that I was able to travel around and see a lot during my education.
Yeah, absolutely. And what does your horse life look like now?
So I have 3 horses now. I have them at home. We moved to Ohio when I started working for Tribute, built a barn, and I do some low-level eventing. I kind of dipped my toes into that the last couple of years. It is challenging sometimes to balance workload and travel with my own riding. I mostly ride for pleasure and compete just to have fun. But I guess this year's been a little different. No travel with COVID, so I've actually been home and able to ride quite a bit.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. What does your normal day look like at Tribute Equine Nutrition?
It varies quite a bit, which is one thing that I really enjoy. Right now, I'm only in the office. I'm not traveling. Normally, there'd be, travel to horse expos, giving seminars, doing customer events for different dealers. But right now that I'm in the office, it's not necessarily the same day to day, but there are some big rocks that I'm going to work on every week. So I'm very involved with our quality and production teams. So I have ongoing meetings and improvement projects. So I work very closely with them. And I'm also our equine research coordinator. We're a member of Cooperative Research Farms. It's a group of companies from across the world, really, that pool our resources to do research. So my role in that is an equine research director. So kind of collating all those interests from our different groups, working with coordinators to put together research projects, protocols, and then disseminate that information. So that's something that I do quite a bit of as well.
Wow, you really wear a lot of different hats. Why is having a hand in multiple aspects of the company beneficial to the product itself?
It gives me kind of a really good overall picture. So a decision that might make a lot of sense if you're only looking at one segment of the product development or launch process maybe doesn't make sense when you think about the entire process. So for example, we could have a fantastic idea for a product that would be really great for horses. The research would be fantastic. But if it's not the type of product that our production facility could make consistently with high quality, that we can source the level of ingredients that are important to us, make sure the places we source them from are a high degree of safety, even if that idea is really fantastic, you need to be able to make the product at the end of the day. So working together through all those facets helps me really troubleshoot some of those things that may come up in the process when we're developing something new.
Yeah, that makes total sense. What do you enjoy most about your role?
My favorite thing about my role is that I get to help other horse owners. At the end of the day, I'm first and foremost a horse owner. So being able to indirectly or directly help horse owners, I do some troubleshooting on our more complicated nutrition cases, or just the idea that I'm having a hand in developing products that will help support the health and wellness of a horse is something that's just really great to see that I can have that small or large impact on multiple horse owners.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any favorite products?
That is almost the hardest question to answer. One of the reasons I decided to work for Tribute is looking at the equine line as a whole. It's a very strong portfolio of products. So there's not a single product in there from a nutrition or a safety perspective that I wouldn't feel comfortable recommending to another horse owner. Every single one of them are fantastic. They have different uses though. So I would say some that I tend to lean on pretty heavily would be Senior Sport, which is one of our newer launches. It's about a year and a half old. The high fat senior feed, super flexible. I use our Ration Balancer Essential K a lot. Those are two products I feed my own horses. And then another one that probably isn't as known or popular is one of our supplements called Advanced Pace. It's a probiotic and vitamin mineral paste. It comes in a tube. And that's really helpful both for growing horses that are having developmental issues, but also our mature horses, maybe your stressy traveler, a horse who's overcoming an antibiotic treatment. Those are, really helpful ways that we can help support the horse's health and wellness. So Advanced Pace is a fun product that maybe not as many people know about compared to a lot of our feed.
And you recently launched Wholesome Blends. Can you tell us a little bit about where this product came from?
Yeah, so Wholesome Blends is a subline of Tribute. It is different, but comparable in the fact that it's still the same level of premium nutrition. It's made in our single ion free manufacturing facility, but it does have some key differences from the rest of the line. So it's completely soy-free for every single possible source of soy and a horse ingredient. We don't use any of it. There's no added iron, and then it has some really interesting alternative ingredients. So we use things like sweet potatoes, which is a great fiber source, peas for protein, black oil, sunflower seeds. It's just a really interesting mix of ingredients that are then all combined together to still provide what is in a traditional horse feed, just coming at it from a different direction. And on top of that, it's just a really pretty feed. So I did a lot of the testing, and I have to say, when I went to go feed my own horses, they're my guinea pigs, wow, this makes you feel good to feed because it's not a boring plain pellet. So it's a really fun feed. I enjoyed working on it, and it's exciting to see it getting out into the market.
Yeah, and you touched on this a little bit, but they are 100% soy-free. Why is that so important for our horse owners?
So we do get a lot of requests for a soy-free feed, and part of that is concerns about soy allergies or sensitivities in our own horse. What relative amount of the population that is, we don't have the research to say, but there are some horse owners who very strongly feel their horses do better without soy. But creating a soy-free feed wasn't the easiest thing to do. So you're looking at the protein in soy is what horses respond to from an allergy perspective. So of course, you wouldn't want to use soybean meal. But then soy hulls, even though that's mostly a fiber source that has protein molecules in it, and then even avoiding your soybean oil. So if you were to use a traditional, really refined soy oil, there wouldn't be those proteins left. But we use an expeller pressed soybean oil, so it does have some of the solids left. It's a really great oil source. But in order to 100% eliminate those soy proteins from the diet, we had to use a different oil source as well. because if you're looking to avoid soy in the horse's diet, there's no sense in avoiding soybean meal, but using those other soy sources. So we actually had to, do some changes to our manufacturing facility in order to make ourselves able to make that 100% soy-free feed. So a lot of dedication and infrastructure went into launching these feeds.
Yeah, I'll say. And there are 3 options for wholesome blends: the Balancer, Performance, and Senior. What makes these 3 products unique?
So the idea with the line was to develop 3 feeds that could cover the majority of horses' needs. So in addition to being soy-free, we also wanted to cover kind of all your different life stages. So even though it says senior in the name, the senior feed's a lower NSC, high fiber feed that can be used through multiple life stages very successfully. We could even feed it to the growing horse and add a little bit of balancer to it to kind of bring up that nutrition level to what we would need for growth and development. The balancer, of course, is our most flexible, great for our easy keepers, those horses who maintain their weight on forage alone and you just want to provide those additional nutrients. But it can also be used as a top dress. Maybe you have a horse whose top line maybe doesn't look as great as you would like. It's full of those strong muscle building amino acids, so we can add it to the other 2. And then Performance is really designed for that horse who has a high output of energy. So it's a little bit higher in NSC. It's a moderate NSC in the low 20% range, but it's also 10% fat. So not necessarily for your horse who might be metabolic or not doing a hard-working job. That feed's designed for horses who have a high output of energy, and they need energy to replenish their glycogen stores in their muscles, maintain weight, and to be able to do their job.
What type of horse would be the best candidate for each of these wholesome blend options?
So they're really appropriate for any horse. So if you have a horse with a soy allergy, they're a great option. If you're already adding some of those alternative ingredients and not using a complete feed, this would be a way to get all of the nutrition in their diet that forage lacks and also provide some of those different ingredients that you might add separately. So ultimately, as long as we choose a product that we can feed the minimum recommended feeding rate and it's appropriate for their life stage, wholesome blends could be used for all horses, and that's something we're happy to help you figure out is it the right product? How much do I need to feed? We have a great technical support team who that's all they do is they help make recommendations to horse owners to find the right program for their horses.
Yeah, and really just helping horse owners know what's right. I really appreciate that as a horse owner.
Yeah, because you touched on it earlier, we have so many products and they're all great products in their own right. But if you chose the wrong product for your horse's needs, you might walk away and say, oh, that Tribute stuff is terrible, when in reality, we just didn't pick the right product. So we really want to help you find what's right for your horse in our line, whether that's wholesome blends or something else, so that you have the best experience and we can support health, wellness, performance of your horse to the highest degree. But at the end of the day, as horse owners, that's all we want is happy, healthy horses that are supported in doing their job, whether that's hanging out being a companion or a high-level competition type job.
Yeah, 100% agree. Where can listeners find wholesome blends and other Tribute Equine nutrition products?
Yep, so we have a large dealer network, and the best way to find the one that is local to you is through our website, which is tributeequinenutrition.com. We have a dealer locator. If you do live in a part of the country where we don't have dealers at this time, we are available online through Chewy and Amazon. So it's kind of been really fun to see as e-commerce has evolved, it's allowed us to reach a lot more customers that we just aren't able to reach through a traditional dealer today. So that's always a great option as well.
Absolutely. And are there any options that Tribute Equine Nutrition that listeners should keep an eye out for?
Ooh, good question. So we do have some fun things in the pipeline. Nothing that is quite close enough for me to talk about today. But I would say the best place to learn about new products is through our social media. So we're very active on Facebook and Instagram. So if you follow us there, you'll learn a lot more about wholesome blends because that's certainly the focus today. But also that'd be the first place to learn about some new things we have coming in the pipeline for 2021.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions I have, Dr. Rambo. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Nope, I think that covers it. Appreciate you having me on the podcast today. It was great to chat with you.
Thanks for tuning in. Learn more about the Ask Annie podcast by following us on Facebook and Instagram at Ask Annie Podcast. We want to know more about you, our listeners.
Check out the show notes to take a quick listener survey.
Have a suggestion for a product you'd like me to use in an upcoming episode? Email me at askanniepodcast@gmail.com or leave a comment on any of our social media pages. Find even more Ask Annie episodes anywhere you listen to podcasts, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and many more. The Ask Annie podcast is a production of the Equine Podcast Network, an entity of Active Interest Media and the Equine Network.